This video presents factual true crime stories based on publicly available court records and news reports. It is intended for educational and documentary purposes only. No graphic depictions of violence are shown. Victims and their families are honored. Content is not intended to glorify criminals or harm. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, substance use, or domestic situations, please seek help from qualified professionals. They were ordinary homes in quiet neighborhoods where mornings began with coffee and plans, and nights ended behind locked doors. But in each of these houses, trust broke. These are stories of betrayal not by strangers in the dark, but by the people closest to the victims. Greed, loneliness, and desperation pushed three young people past the point of return. Their choices left communities stunned and families shattered. This is what happened. Fort Worth, Texas, March 12, 1992. The night was quiet in a well-kept Fort Worth suburb when violence shattered the Koslow home. Jack and Karen Koslow were asleep. By morning, Karen was dead, Jack was badly injured, and the scene looked at first like a burglary gone wrong. Detectives weren't convinced. Clues didn't fit a random home invasion. Jack, when he could speak, sensed something darker. Investigators noticed Christy Koslow, Jack's 17-year-old daughter, was cold and detached, focused on appearances rather than grief. Behind closed doors, she boasted about her role. The plan was revealed. Christy wanted the family fortune immediately. She recruited her boyfriend, Brian Salter, and his friend Jeffrey Dillingham, promising money, jewelry, and her father's car. Salter and Dillingham entered the master bedroom while Jack and Karen slept. The attack was merciless. Karen was killed, Jack was left for dead but survived. His survival became the thread that unraveled the scheme. In court, prosecutors described Christy as manipulative and remorseless. Witnesses recalled her smirk during testimony. No tears for Karen's brutal death. The co-conspirators faced their own reckonings. Jeffrey Dillingham was executed in 2000. Brian Salter was sentenced to life. Christy Koslow was convicted of capital murder in 1994 and given a life sentence. Today, Christy Koslow remains behind bars at the Hobby Unit in Texas, now in her 50s, having spent more than half her life in prison. Jack Koslow survived, but carried the scars for the rest of his life. For Fort Worth, the crime was a chilling reminder. Sometimes the most dangerous threat doesn't come from strangers breaking in at night. It comes from the person you raised, the person you trusted, the person at your own dinner table. Clear Lake City, Texas, July 18, 2003. In suburban Clear Lake City, four young friends gathered as they often did, sharing jokes, confidences, the easy comfort of youth. Among them was Christine Paola, a girl who had once been isolated and insecure. Two girls, Tiffany Rail, also reported as Tiffany Rowell, and Rachel Coloris, reported in some accounts as Rachel Sorotis, reached out to her. They gave her makeovers, helped her with hair and makeup, and offered friendship. Christine's transformation was so striking she was voted Miss Irresistible by her classmates. But beneath the surface, Christine's insecurities never fully faded. She struggled with depression and began experimenting with drugs. She fell into a relationship with Christopher Snyder, sometimes reported as Snyder, an older, controlling boyfriend. The pair spiraled into substance abuse, and Christine became isolated from the very friends who had once saved her from loneliness. On July 18, Christine and Snyder went to Tiffany's house where Tiffany, Marcus Priscilla, Adalbert Sanchez, also reported as Edelbert, and Rachel were spending the afternoon. What followed was sudden and merciless. The friends were shot at close range. When the guns jammed, the killers used the butts of the weapons to bludgeon the wounded. Even as Rachel Coloris, Christine's closest friend, begged for her life, the violence did not stop. All four died. The aftermath stunned the community. Tiffany, Rachel, Marcus, and Adalbert were popular, well-liked students known for kindness and loyalty. Their families were left shattered. For 3 years, the case went cold. Christine vanished, changed her appearance, married another man, and tried to build a new life. In 2006, an anonymous tip led police to her. She was arrested and charged with capital murder. In court, Christine claimed she had no memory of the killings, insisting she blacked out. Prosecutors showed evidence of planning and intent, arguing that Christine's insecurities, drug dependency, and toxic relationship with Snyder had pushed her to a breaking point. The jury didn't buy her defense. In 2009, Christine Paola was found guilty of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Her accomplice, Christopher Snyder, never faced justice. He took his own life as police closed in. Today, Christine Paola is 39, serving her sentence at the Mountain View unit in Texas. Decades later, her name is still synonymous with one of the worst acts of betrayal in Texas history, a girl who could not escape her own pain, who repaid kindness with violence, and who destroyed 4 young lives. El Dorado Hills, California, June 11, 2009. The third story is the most intimate, a daughter and the mother who raised her. In an affluent California suburb, 14-year-old Tyler Witt, now using the name Charlie, was the only child of a single mother, Joanne Witt, an engineer described as protective and hardworking. Joanne raised Tyler alone, providing a comfortable life in El Dorado Hills, where crime felt distant. But tension simmered. Tyler was rebellious, constantly pushing against her mother's boundaries. Fights over curfews, friends, and especially her relationship with Stephen Culver, a young man nearly a decade older, became daily battles. When Joanne discovered the relationship, she reported Culver to authorities for statutory rape, trying to protect her daughter. For Tyler, it felt like betrayal. Her anger boiled over. In the days before the murder, she wrote a letter to Joanne with 3 words, "I hate you." On the night of June 11th, while Joanne slept, Tyler and Culver put their plan into action. Culver stabbed Joanne more than 20 times. Tyler participated in the planning, stood by during the attack, and helped cover up the crime. The pair attempted to stage a suicide pact to disguise the truth. Police found inconsistencies. Tyler and Stephen's accounts didn't match, and evidence pointed to a carefully orchestrated murder. The mother's own daughter had betrayed her in the most final way. The trial gripped the nation. Prosecutors said a forbidden love fueled by rebellion and a need for control drove the murder. The defense argued Tyler was vulnerable and influenced by an older man. Tyler turned against Stephen in exchange for a reduced sentence. Tyler Witt pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received 15 years to life. Stephen Culver was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 26 years to life. In 2022, after serving 14 years, Tyler was granted parole. By 2023, she walked out of prison a free woman, now using the name Charlie. In a rare 2024 interview, she discussed growth, rehabilitation, and the pain she caused. She lives privately, likely still in California, hoping to rebuild a life from the ashes of tragedy. These stories share a painful lesson: violence often grows from ordinary places: impatience, addiction, the desire to escape consequences. Each case ended with accountability, but accountability cannot bring back the people taken or erase the hurt left behind. The quiet moments before a crime often hold the clues we miss, and the people we think we know can still surprise us in ways we never imagined.